My name is Deandra Brown, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Ronnalee Hesford, and I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Annika Vimongi, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Scott Carpenter, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Rebecca Ivory, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
I am Lisa Warner, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Amanda Longwell, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Joel Moore, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Shauna Weaver, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
My name is Deanne Tilton, and I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse.
I was abused from ages 10 to 16.
I was abused from ages 12 to 14.
I was abused from ages 9 to 10.
I was abused from ages 9 to 10.
I was abused from ages 14 to 18.
I was abused from age 4 to 18.
I was abused in my preteens.
I was abused from ages 15 to 17 years old.
I was abused from ages 8 to 14.
I was abused from ages 6 to 9.
My abuser was my father.
My abuser was a man at my church.
My abuser was my school psychologist.
My abuser was my fourth grade teacher.
My abuser was my choir teacher.
My abusers were my mother, father, oldest brother, and members of the community that my parents prostituted me out to.
My abuser was my uncle.
My abuser was my pastor.
My abuser was my mother's husband.
My abuser was my father.
I began to realize that this was abuse when I was age 23.
I began to realize that this was abuse at age 28.
I began to realize this was abuse at age 34.
I knew that I was being abused every time that it happened.
I realized this was abuse when I was 25.
To survive, I dissociated from the abuse until I was 22 and safe as an adult.
I began to realize this was abuse when I was around 17.
I began to realize this was abuse when I was age 39.
And I knew it was wrong every time, but couldn't give it the name abuse till in my 30s.
I knew it was wrong, but couldn't give it the name abuse until I was 18.
In January 2016, the Utah Department of Health's Violence and Injury Prevention Program and the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault released a study on the cost of sexual violence in Utah. This study shows that every year the direct and indirect costs of sexual violence to the state of Utah come to almost $5 billion, with almost $900 million of that being directly related to victims of child sexual assault. Some of the damage to victims includes extensive medical and mental health care, lost work, sexually transmitted infections, unintended pregnancy, suicide concerns, substance abuse, eating disorders, even being removed from your home or family, and decades of suffering and lost quality of life. Because of fear and embarrassment, I was age 30 when I finally was able to go public about my abuse.
Because of fear, I was age 47 before I was able to go public with my abuse.
Because of fear and embarrassment, I was 35 before I was able to go public about my abuse.
Because of fear and embarrassment, I was age 22 when I was finally able to go public about my abuse.
Because of intense shame and fear, I was 35 before I was able to go public about my abuse.
Because of fear and shame, I was 34 before I stopped being silent.
Because of fear and embarrassment, I was 40 when I was finally able to go public about it.
Because of deep shame, I was 40 when I was finally able to go public about my abuse.
And because of extensive grooming and brainwashing, in my 30s before I was finally able to go public with my abuse.
Because of shame and terror, I was 46 before I could come forward publicly about my abuse.
This bill is important because every victim deserves the opportunity to have their medical costs paid for by the perpetrator when they are ready to come forward.
This bill is important because victims need time to have a voice.
This bill is important to me because it took me 25 years to stop thinking about my abuse in the world.
Bill is important because it gives other survivors like me the chance to feel whole again.
This bill is important because even people over 22 deserve justice.
This bill is important because survivors deserve justice, whether we're young or old.
This bill is important because the abused needs time to come to terms with what occurred, ready to face the abuser.
This bill is important because without it, and the statute of limitations, we will not be able to seek justice.
This bill is important because we matter.
This bill is important because survivors deserve to get to court and name whom among us is still free to abuse other children.